While sun chlorella works for all types of lifestyles, according to recent studies, it's exceptionally beneficial for athletes. 4 elements that we'll explore throughout this video work seamlessly together within sun chlorella to support exercise and active lifestyles. This video will outline the concept of new gut muscle conditioning and sun chlorella's amazing ability to proliferate metabolites such as short-chain fatty acid, SCFAs, and relevant enzymes, which are mediated through metabolic crosstalk between intestinal microbiota, skeletal muscles, and hypothalamus that ultimately can improve athletic performance. What is the main benefit of chlorella for athletes? Chlorella is a unicellular green type of algae that contains a variety of nutrients, including amino acids, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. These various components have been shown to increase aerobic endurance capacity. In a recent sun chlorella study, it's clear there is newly discovered potential for chlorella to support not only aerobic activity, but anaerobic types of exercise as well. In the past, we've only analyzed chlorellas effectiveness in a small way. Now, we're moving beyond basic conditioning and enlarging our scope to include muscle endurance support through chlorella's ergogenic properties. These properties in particular make chlorella an appropriate supplement to any type of active conditioning, as it enhances overall performance. What are the energy systems and their contribution to exercise? Good question. When we speak about exercise, we don't mean a specific activity, but a hybrid combination of continuous metabolic energy, supply systems represented by ATP-PC, glycolysis, and aerobic systems. While chlorella supports all these systems to some extent, recent research shows that chlorella has unique potential to enhance both aerobic and anaerobic performance when coupled with base conditioning. Each system working within your body, pre, during, or post-workout, has its own substrate and mechanism to create adenosine 5-triphosphate, or ATP, the fundamental source of power and the currency of cellular activation. What is the relationship between energy systems, skeletal muscle access, and performance? Athletic performance is influenced by 4 main elements: anaerobic activity, ATP-CP, and glycolytic acid, aerobic activity, oxygen uptake, cardiovascular activity, and last but not least important, gut and muscle intertissue communication. As these systems work together, they support sustainable performance. How can athletes achieve higher performance? It's important to understand that performance is not a single entity, but rather a complex coordination of intake of good nutrition and fundamental robustness of intertissues communication. Performance embraces various factors. Thus, we should imagine various gears working together to achieve maximum coordination of each element. One of the most important gears in the performance machine is the energy supply system, which coordinates the entire process. This system is known in general as the metabolic energy system, where adenosine 5-triphosphate, or ATP for short, is constantly produced for activation of cells to sustain life itself. Recent studies show that chlorella intake increases ATP production by intermediating enzyme reactions, metabolite, and enzyme activity, thus boosting the entire performance system. What is ATP? Each time your body moves, you generate energy, which courses throughout the body on molecules known as ATP, or adenosine 5-triphosphate. This is the cell's universal currency for storing and transferring energy. When your cells need energy, they withdraw it from ATP. ATP production depends on many different factors and can vary according to each person's physical traits and condition. Proper supplementation can boost ATP production and your body's ability to make energy. It's true that chlorella's plant-based nutrients portfolio works with your body to enhance your ATP performance, but it shouldn't be considered as the only thing to do for your body. It's best used as part of a healthy lifestyle, including proper conditioning and regular exercise. What's in chlorella that makes it work for athletes? Chlorella pyrenoidosa is a microalga that constitutes an important source of beneficial nutrients, such as carotenoids like carotene, lutein, and zeaxanthin, proteins with well-balanced amino acid profiles, polyunsaturated fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins like A, B12, E, and K. Our recent study shows that billions of metabolic reactions that occur inside the body are enhanced and sped up when the body works with whole plant-based food nutrients. Since many of us find it difficult to include nutrient-rich, plant-based foods in our regular diet, chlorella can play a key role in metabolic process rejuvenation. We should also note that there is marked variation in the efficiency with which food can be converted to ATP energy. In other words, the food you eat is directly correlated to physical performance. Chlorella is highly useful for cellular processes by enhancing the transformation of nutrients to ATP energy. This is because the nutrients complex unique to chlorella have been recognized to play a key role in metabolic rejuvenation processes by instigating a ripple effect that increases specific types of enzymes. Because of this ripple effect, large protein molecules present in all our cells then, through a series of reactions, turn one thing, say a sugar molecule called a substrate, into another, say a glucose-related chemical the body uses to synthesize the fat called product or metabolite that ultimately triggers ATP production. What is the main ATP power factory? Simply put, more ATP means more energy to activate your skeletal muscles with longer endurance. As mentioned, chlorella intake contributes greatly to ATP circulation in the body. The ability of ATP to regenerate and provide energy for muscle endurance is the fundamental source of physical performance. ATP consumption is widely recognized in muscle tissues that are embedded with highly dense mitochondria. In fact, 90% of the energy comes from mitochondria's ATPs. Our mitochondria are on the front lines of converting glucose into ATP. More specifically, glycolysis and Krebs cycle, plus electron transport, can create as many as 36 ATP molecules from a single molecule of glucose. Then, when ATP is broken down into ADP, all of that stored up energy is released. How do you quantify performance? Let's continue at the cellular level. Mitochondria efficiency can be quantified through the measurement of ATP to oxygen ratio. That's the ratio of the amount of ATP generated per unit of oxygen consumed. Chlorella intake improves this ratio by boosting chemical processes in mitochondria. In fact, it may be one of the most effective ways to rejuvenate muscle tissues and improve overall performance. We observe the VO2 max enhancement effect during the intake of chlorella as the most reliable macro indicator to prove this mechanism. But how does this affect an athlete's physical performance? The ATP to oxygen ratio is equivalent and proportional to oxygen uptake and the heart rate ratio. The higher it is, the better. Therefore, improving performance at a cellular level translates to enhanced performance at the physical level. The following chart illustrates the energy gap between an elite athlete and an ordinary person. High-performing athletes have higher maximal oxygen consumption, VO2 max, that enables them to extend their limits and maximize total performance. Now, imagine that gap if you created more power with less energy to be consumed. In a recent Sun Chlorella study, we used a version of high-intensity interval training to measure the oxygen volume in two control groups. One group was given chlorella and the other received a placebo. As intensity level on aerobic exercise increased, the oxygen volume in blood increased in a proportional manner. The chlorella group was shown to have higher oxygen levels that reached up to VO2 max limit when compared to the placebo group. This indicates efficient energy consumption while showing an improvement in both aerobic and anaerobic activity of 10 to 15%. Impressive, right? How does chlorella affect post-workout recovery? Post-workout recovery measures EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. In other words, the amount of oxygen that it takes your body to get back to its normal state. Our findings show that chlorella intake reduces the time you need for post-workout recovery by up to 20%. Sun Chlorella studies prove that utilizing chlorella as a supplement markedly enhances ATP reproduction, bodily performance, and recovery. We believe that continued chlorella use will further support bodily functions, including organ regulation and tissue function triggered by signals from the hypothalamus. Chlorella supports the total enhancement of the body's systems. Try it yourself. See how Sun Chlorella can enhance your performance. Sun Chlorella. Health is wealth.